I do have a comment on the minutes. Just, many people know my standard practice is to submit minutes that comply with Open Meetings Act, where it describes what happened, and not what was said. I don't submit minutes that read like Dear Diary. However, in this instance, because it's a once every 10-year thing, we did find the more detailed minutes from the past Apportionment Commission very, very helpful in terms of knowing some of the background and how to continue to conduct these meetings. So I did submit these minutes in more detailed fashion than I would normally do for other meetings that I clerk. I'm open to removing everything except for motions, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Verheulen?
I like the format. I don't propose.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the minutes are approved. So I guess that takes us to the main topic of today, any apportionment submissions. I have not seen any, so I don't know if anybody has themselves, anything been submitted, so.
We just received one submission from Mr. Verheulen this morning. That's the only thing that was in the email, so nothing from the public or any.
So how do we want to take a look at that? I'm assuming this is the time to take a look at it, I guess, if that's the only one we have right now?
I mean, it's not the only one. I have one that I can present in person.
Oh, okay,
Copies.
all right, that's fine. So I guess you got your email one, we'll go with you first and then you next?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Okay.
So,
And I will be brief, but let me
Sure.
circulate. Welcome. Mr. Chairman, if I could just make a few brief comments.
please do.
And my expectation was that we wouldn't spend a great deal of time going through it because there's a lot of data, and I think it's important that the members and the public have an opportunity to dive into the data and so forth. But I have a few general comments I'd like to make. First of all, of significance, this is a proposed 21-member map, and my initial inclination was to keep the commission number as low as possible, that is the current 19, but as I thought through it and studied it, I feel comfortable with 21. This approximately maintains the current population per district in response to the increase in the county population. And then on a personal level, in my career, at one time, I represented as mayor the city of Walker, which had a population something in excess of 20,000. Later, I was a state representative where the number of my constituents was significantly higher. And I felt that, as I look back, I was much better connecting with my constituents, knowing them, knowing their community when it was a smaller population, and therefore this map proposes something along the same lines as the current. So that is the rationale for the 21-member map. The map also creates two minority-majority districts. District number 20 is a Hispanic district, and district number 17 is an African-American district. And then finally, I just want to say that I'm confident the map is fair, it's reasonable, and in full compliance with the statutory requirements. And as the members study it and review it, I certainly would welcome comments at that point. But I hope everyone gives it a thorough evaluation, and I think it meets the statutory requirements, and I would propose it for consideration.
I guess, do we have any questions, any comments? I guess we'll, at least with this one, Mr. Sexton?
Yes, thank you, Chair Becker. Question, Mr. Verheulen. I see that part of your submission has the demographics for voting age population.
Yes.
Where did you get that data from?
I used Dave's redistricting. It came from there.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's correct, but please, feel free to review it, challenge it if it's inappropriate. But to the best of my knowledge, it's accurate information.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Any other questions or comments, I guess, specifically regarding this plan? Okay, I guess, Mr. Saxon, I guess you've got your plan. We'll take a look at that one now.
So maybe not a map per district was necessary, but
That's all right, I like that.
more information the better, maybe.
This is page one? Or
Yes, that is page one. It's a whole packet. It's a whole packet for
I'm
one.
sorry. Okay.
Do you have an overall map too? You said you have one per district?
It should be the very first one.
This is mine.
Yes.
Bear with me.
Why don't you
Yep, I
take
got
it
it.
down and pass it around? Okay.
Yeah, I just have one packet. It's hard
Oh.
to staple these, so.
Oh,
So that is yours, and I'm just going through and making sure that everybody gets
well,
theirs.
I'll just, we'll just pass it
That's
down.
what I meant, yeah. This one's for the record, Rob.
There's one there. One there.
Got paper clips.
I got this. That's what we do, we stamp stuff.
Here.
Thank you.
Can we have two paper clips down here too?
Sure.
Thank you. And turn the mic off.
Oh, I think-
I don't know what's in there. I got hot dogs, I got, whatever.
I dropped one.
Okay, dear.
I need one more, I dropped one. My apologies.
Is there anybody else need a copy?
Please, one more for you, Rob?
One more for me.
Oh, you do need, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yours has 21 also,
Correct, yes. Let me know if people have had time to look at it and when we can talk about it.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Has it been submitted electronically as well?
Is that on now? Oh, I don't hold it down. Yeah, so I use the county apportionment tool that was given to us. So it should be up in the portal. One question I had before I talk about submitting this, does everybody here have access to the portal now?
I believe Mr. Saxon was the only one with access.
Okay, so nobody else requested to use the tool? Okay, because that was one of my concerns one of my concerns was whether or not we're all using the same data. And I don't know if it would be helpful for people to put that up on the portal ahead of time, but the report that I'm submitting right now was generated by the portal, which I submitted this plan to. So I was just curious about that, if people had access to it or not. So if I can I present my plan here?
Please do.
Okay, so, I decided to also do 21 districts as well. I believe we're, a growing county, and we need to make sure that we're as best represented. We also want to make sure that, the people, in 2018, the people of Michigan at large spoke and said, they don't want gerrymandering anymore. They want fair maps. And so, to the best of my ability, not taking partisanship into consideration, making sure that the statute for county commission reapportionment was followed as best as I could see, and at the same time making sure that there weren't any issues with the VRA, the Voting Rights Act compliance. So there is no voting age population data in the county apportionment software that we were given. So I also used Dave redistricting. So the final page, which is a spreadsheet, shows the breakdown of voting age population. There is a African American district for 17, and then there's also, for our growing Hispanic population, District 15. So to make sure that we are as close to in compliance as possible with the VRA, I also created those two districts.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments, I guess, specifically on this plan right now? Since we're all kind of digesting both of these. Anything that jumps out, any questions? I guess I'll throw one out just in general, I guess, is there, yeah, I was anticipating that there obviously going to be a submission from people, so I wasn't going to do this on my own, so I did not access the system. So I guess, do you think is there going to be a difference? Do we have any idea, is there going to be a difference between, you submitted yours in the portal, yours is not in the portal? Does anybody have any idea if that's going to change any of the data that's in here, you know what I'm saying? Are we comparing apples to apples when it comes down to it?
Well, I think the demographic information both came from Dave's redistricting, same source.
Yeah, I mean, if as far as I'm concerned, I don't know whether or not the county tool is able to provide the voting age population, because that's what you need to take into consideration for VRA, which is why we did the best I can. So if we have a better authoritative method of looking at what that data is from the county tool, assuming we want to use the county tool. I mean, people haven't even gotten access to it, so I'm not sure whether or not people want to use that, but.
I want to thank both Mr. Saxton and Mr. Verheulen for putting forward maps for this body to consider. The most important thing we must do is this body is to adopt apportionment maps for representation that are fair and legal. And I appreciate the opportunity to review these to make sure that whatever we adopt here does meet that fair and legal standard that the people deserve and that is required by law.
I guess what is our next steps then in terms of, okay, obviously we got the meeting schedule. Then how do we want to just take this right now? I mean, this was pretty much the agenda item for today. I guess we haven't heard anything from the public. We have public comment. I guess we can see if that happens.
Correct.
But I guess, is this something we just take back on our own or review them and come up with our own questions? I guess I'm open to. That would be my preference. What are our next steps?
That would be my preference, is that we take some time to review these individually and be prepared if we have any questions during our next meeting. This will give the public time to digest both submissions as well in preparation for the public hearing. And then if there's public comment today with individuals from the public who want to submit maps, I think we can do the same for those as well.
Jackson? I think.
Yeah, what is the mechanism for distributing the copy of these maps to make them available to the public? Do we have that?
That was one of mine, yeah.
We will make those available on our website. We'll make them available on our social media pages as well. And again, per Open Meetings Act, these were documents that were provided during the meeting, and so they are available for public inspection.
Okay, and I have an electronic copy. Who can I send that to?
You can send that to, why don't you send it to the redistrict, or the general email that we had made?
That we've been, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To make sure all of the apportionment-related items are in one spot. Yes, apportionment@kentcountymi.gov.
Mr. Chairman, I have a process question. So today was the date we established as the deadline for submission of maps. Does that mean that the deadline ends at the conclusion of this meeting? Or if someone this afternoon wants to submit a map for consideration, is there a timeline? Has it passed or will it pass when you adjourn? Or can they be submitted yet today?
Yeah, I thought it would be done here.
Okay.
But I guess, you know, are we gonna say, I mean, they can, if the member of the public comes in with a public comment and they wanna, you know, we consider it? I mean, that's kind of,
Well, I suppose, I guess in my mind, we set this as the deadline. If someone comes in with comments on either Mr. Saxon's or my proposed maps and says, well, we think you missed the boat and you should do A, B, and C, we certainly have an opportunity to amend either before adoption. So if someone contacted me, I'd say, well, you didn't meet the deadline for submission, but certainly the committee, the commission is interested in your thoughts. Just use either of those two as sort of a model and say you think we ought to modify in the following respects. Bless you. And I just wanted to make sure I would be giving accurate response.
I mean, to me, that makes the most sense in terms of, okay, we got two base maps, if you will. And then, you know, obviously, you know, it doesn't mean they're locked in stone. They could be modified, changed based on public comment, based on whatever happens after our analysis. We have come forward with stuff. But, you know, to have somebody, let's say somebody comes in with a 19 district after this, I would think, no, we're basing ours on the 20, it's gonna be 21, because both, you know, we have two right now that are 21, so if someone comes with a 19, that's completely outside of what we're looking at. So I
Unless
would-
that amendment would be agreeable to one of the submitters of each respective map. But this is a process that I want to be open to public input, and I want to be open, I think we were very clear that we are accepting of public submissions of maps, but I also think that we were pretty clear in our last meeting for those who are serious about participating in this process, that we would be submitting and discussing the maps in this meeting. So admittedly, I don't know that I expect more maps to come in if they're not in by now.
So my understanding of our position, our collective position, is that if you have comments or suggested modifications, they should be off of base A or base B, and then we'll take that up in public comment, we'll evaluate them ourselves, and come up with a final product at the time. Okay, thank you.
Jackson?
My only concern is revision is in the eyes of the beholder. So, you know, whether or not we can look at a map and go, that is a revision of one of these, or whether it's a complete redraw of one. So I don't know whether or not there's something we can say we can shut down. We can certainly take into consideration somebody with a wildly different idea to say, that's kind of off base, I think. But, I mean, we can see what happens and I think deal with it at that time.
Yeah, well, I guess that's maybe the best thing to see what happens. If nobody's here right now, that suddenly, we're gonna get 20 maps as of, a week from now that, oh, I just forgot. I doubt that's gonna happen. So I think our general trend is gonna be to take Mr. Verheulen, is that we're gonna use these as the basis, and really, modify them if it
If
comes down to
necessary.
it necessary, and then, have changes within these maps, but not accept, somebody comes in with a completely off-the-wall
Yeah.
something. I mean, a public comment, we gotta listen to them. So we want to
absolutely.
submit it, but that's, they're starting with something behind them.
And I have one other comment. I appreciate the submission from Mr. Verheulen. My only concern is I can visually see this, but I don't know, like at the precinct level or block level, I might not be able to determine what is in what district there. So I'm wondering, I believe this list right here of precincts, this is sufficient to be able to recreate the map because it does have the exact precinct numbers in it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure that this is sufficient for recreating this in some kind of software, like Days or something. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Any other comments, I guess, right now in terms of these two submissions? I guess one question for legal counsel on the Open Meetings Act. I guess if we have questions, obviously we're just getting these right now. If we have questions for individuals, if Mr. Saxon, Mr. Verheulen, or something like that, is that something we submit via email? How do we do that over the, next week or so as we're going over this material? Or do we have to wait till the next meeting?
I think we'd want to keep it open as possible, so probably hold the questions till the next meeting. I'm not sure we should be questioning each other outside of this body.
Yeah, there is nothing that precludes a member from asking a question either verbally or emailing it to either Mr. Saxton or Mr. Verheulen, depending on the map. That is subject to FOIA. So I think transparency is key, and just keep that in mind. Now, we cannot deliberate as a quorum, obviously, so, I mean, don't, keep that in mind as well.
The other thing I would add, just for efficiency's sake, is if there's a technical question, you can email it to me, and I can distribute it as your counsel, and then the person that submitted the map will at least know what question is coming their direction and can be prepared to answer at the next meeting. But to the clerk's point, we cannot have people going back and forth on email, because that will, even if it's only two people, it calls into question deliberation of a public policy outside an open meeting.
Sure. I kind of like the idea of sending it to you to distribute it, because, just for my sake, for the questions, we're getting this, and it's kind of our next questions when you're kind of taking a look at it, and then if we may have a question that you may be able to answer with a little bit of a heads up, just to give you guys time to prepare, here's something that comes up. I think that may be beneficial, instead of just springing it and kind of scrambling when there's, who knows what kind of public input we may have. So I think that if that's acceptable, I think that would be a good way to do it, submit it through you, so then, at least have it out there ahead of time if there's questions, so you can prepare. Is that acceptable? Okay, we'll do that then. Anything else?
You need to officially call for public comment.
I was going to.
You sounded
I'm
like
just
you were
throwing it out
ready to
there.
hit the door.
No. Yeah, when I get the gavel, that's it.
Oh, okay.
So yes, this is the time for public comment. Is there any public comment? Not a huge amount of public here, but is there any public comment? Seeing none, I think that's it for the agenda. You will publish this all on the next meeting and everything, and be ready for questions through her for next time.
You bet, Mr. Chair.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? We are adjourned.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County.
Beya, Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County.
We are Kent County.
We are Kent County. Oh, yeah.